Hi, hello, I'm Gerald. I'll also be talking about RealityKit today, although I guess my talk will be a bit more basic than Yuma, who did an awesome job on the face tracking stuff. So this is RealityKit, AR in easy mode. A bit about myself. My name is Gerald Kim, Twitter handle Gerald_Kim. I currently work as an iOS developer at Redbubble, working on the iOS app, and I have a kind of stale blog, arplaykit.com, where I do some experiments in AR. All right, so what is RealityKit? So like Yuma said, it's a high-level framework for working with AR. It's built on top of ARKit, and it basically, before you used to have to deal with like SceneKit and SpriteKit, and like you had anchors and stuff attach SceneKit or SpriteKit objects to it, but now this is making it a lot easier. RealityKit works well with Reality Composer, like we saw in Yuma's presentation, but you don't actually need Composer. You can actually just do Reality itself and import it via like USDZs and primitives and things. And Reality Composer, we saw, it's kind of actually like, I don't know, the way it feels like to me is it's like interface builder for AR. So it makes it really easy to build things visually. But for my talk today, I won't talk too much about Reality Composer. We'll just go into more of like the basics of just RealityKit itself. Cool. So how does RealityKit work? We start with an AR view, which is a subclass of UI view, and this is brand new in RealityKit, which is also iOS 13 only. So yeah, brand new. An AR view has a scene associated with it, and for every AR view, an AR view includes all sorts of goodies for you, like the camera view, the AR detection and things. And with the scene, what we can do is we attach anchors, and we can attach like lots of entities. So for each anchor, like we saw with the face anchor, or you can have anchors on like horizontal planes or the walls and stuff, and then you can attach as many entities as you want. Actually, you can also stack entities on top of each other, and entities are things like models and stuff. So what exactly is an anchor? Anchors are both in ARKit and RealityKit. And RealityKit is just kind of, it wraps it up in a nice, slightly easier to understand type of thing. And anchors are things like, we're talking about plane detection, face tracking, body tracking, which is new in ARKit 3, iOS 13. Image tracking. We can detect up to 100 images. And so this is kind of like, if I have a picture of a cat or something, and I can make AR content appear on top of it. So if you remember AR from before, it's kind of like QR codes, but just fancier. Object tracking as well. So this is, if you pre-scan a 3D object, you can have AR content appear around it. So if you saw the demos before, this is like that Lego set. You have the Lego set, and you point your AR camera at it, and it comes to life. You can also choose to put anchors in arbitrary positions. So it's like, I want to put an anchor 3 feet in front of me, or 1 meter actually. You can do anchors that way. And then raycast. So raycast is something that's new in ARKit 3, iOS 13. And this is like, basically if I tap my screen, I shoot a laser at like the ground or the wall or something, and it knows it's hit the wall or floor, and I can put AR, like 3D content and stuff on top of that. So if you've dealt with ARKit before, we used to have to do this with hit testing, but now we do raycasting. So what is an entity? Entities are models that we can load from USDZ files. We also can get it from .reality files, primitives, like spheres, cubes, that kind of stuff. And models can have components, so like physics and collisions for like 3D models. Technically, anchors are actually considered an entity, and they have like a property called like, I think is anchorable or something like that. But you can mix and match components. So like if you don't really want physics, you can actually take that away. And the nice thing about entities is RealityKit auto handles things like realistic lighting, the rendering. So like if you have like a bright light next to your thing, you can actually see it reflected. Some of the things they talked about in the new ARKit 3 is like you can have motion blurring, the camera grain, so it looks even more realistic. So all that is included for free. So whatever happened to SpriteKit and SceneKit? In RealityKit, you can't actually add them. If you want to work with SpriteKit and SceneKit, you have to go back to working with ARKit directly. The RealityKit is like a whole new level above, so they're not really compatible with each other. So like model entities, which is like an entity of a 3D model, they only really support loading from USDZ files, and you can't really use SCN files. So if you are dealing with 3D objects and you have a pipeline that's dealing with SceneKit and stuff, you're going to have to start over. Other nice goodies for RealityKit. So they have built-in support for multiplayer experiences. Apple had a really good talk about RealityKit where they kind of showed it off, and it was surprisingly easy to do the multiplayer connectivity and stuff. Built-in support for collaborative mapping. So this is like if you have two people in a room and they are like pointing at different things in the room, they'll know about each other's things that they're pointing at. Async loading of assets is super easy mode. So before, like you used to have to try to dispatch async and load things and then worry about, oh, I have to put it into the same background queue so I don't mess with my GPU rendering and things. So now it's just into entity loading. And then, like I mentioned before, the built-in rendering effects. So let's do a quick demo. Cool. I'm not quite confident to do a live coding session like Yuma did, but I have a pre-built project here, which shows off some of the which has RealityKit stuff, and can, I guess, show off some of the different aspects of it. So we'll start with, this is like a Swift UI view, and so I'm just building my interface here where I have my AR view, and then just I'm placing some buttons that are going to switch between the modes. Actually, maybe I should probably run this first so you can see what it's like before we dive into the code. Cool. So I have these little buttons at the bottom, and I have some of the debug options turned on. You can see the origin. You can see the little anchors popping up. These used to be little yellow dots, but they made it slightly fancy in RealityKit. So like now we'll try to throw a box down, if I can detect a plane. Which it's not liking at the moment. Okay, we might have to give up on the box because I think the tracking isn't good enough. No, nice. A box on a box. I think my tolerances for the box aren't, oh, so there's a sphere. So this sphere I'm just like throwing at random in a spot in front of us, and you can see it's kind of flown off there. And then a plane, which is, I think if I find a small plane, it'll throw a plane on a plane. You'll see what I mean in a sec if I can get this working. There we go. And then finally, face tracking. So I don't think it can find my face. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to detect face and then place 3D objects on it. And yeah. Oh well. Right, so back to the code. So like that's, I have buttons that set the modes, and we'll see what the different modes do. So to set up a RealityKit file, it's actually really easy. As you saw before, to start one from scratch, you start an AR view. I've turned on some debug options. And from there, it's like this is kind of just code to go, like just reset up the experience. So it's like the configurations, like you was saying before, you set up a configuration. And some of them, most of them I have the world tracking configuration. Some of them I have plane detection going on. Can also do tracking. Can also do other ones like body tracking and stuff. So that's configuration that I set, and that's kind of putting it into an AR experience or looking for and stuff. And then we go ahead and start adding anchors. So let's take a look at the most simple one, which is the box. So the box is loading from a Reality Composer file, which is started by default. So that's the experience RC project like we saw before. And we're just loading that up. The experience file gives you an anchor with an entity attached to it. So it's kind of like an all-in-one type of thing. And all you got to do is just attach it to the scene, and you're done. That's basically all you have to do. For other things, like if we want to do a little bit more manually, so if we look at the sphere, I'm just creating an anchor entity, just placing it, I think this is 0.3 meters in front and to the side. Then I go ahead and generate the sphere, so making material, so it should be a bright metallic red, and then I throw it on a sphere that's 0.2 meters in radius, and then I throw it like 1 meter in front of me, and I go ahead and add it into the scene. It's super easy. Adding a plane is also pretty easy. So I'm just creating an anchor entity, and saying this should go on a horizontal plane. I set some minimum bounds of how big the plane should be at a minimum in order for it to place the anchor. And then I'm loading this from a USDZ file, so I can just do anchor entity or entity.load, the name of the USDZ file, which I have in my project right here, and then go ahead and add it to the scene. And then, yeah, and then of course the face anchor stuff, we've seen that before with Yuma's talk, and that one is just, this one I'm just like placing it in a position. So super fancy, I'm just creating 2 spheres and placing it on the eyes. Yeah, I wish that would have worked. So yeah, as you can see, it's really easy to use RealityKit, even if you're just using drawing your own primitives like spheres. You can load it from a USDZ file. And yeah. Let's see, how much time do I have? Oh, okay. So maybe what I'll do real quick is just show off. So we've seen the plane detection. We've seen it showing, like throwing the sphere in front of us. The face detection. They also have body detection as well, which is really cool. So that one I'll use Apple's demo. So does anyone want to volunteer to be my body model? Any takers? You want to be my body model? Yeah. So all you got to do is. Welcome back. Sorry?
Do you write Catalina?
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
Okay. Can I airplay directly from the... Unable to connect to TV. iOS 13.1? You know, it might be because I'm doing that. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, so that one is, so this is Apple's sample code to do body detection. So if we see and check out Yuma here, it's It's actually detecting multiple bodies. So you could maybe stand over here a bit. Yeah, awesome. So now we can see that it's placed a body double. So this is just, it's actually like really simple code to do this. And it's a little bit there. But yeah, it's actually detecting his movement in real time and moving the model with him. So yeah, pretty cool. Thanks for that. And so the nice things about RealityKit that it gives you is, like, the body tracking is really easy to do. It also gives you things for free, like people occlusion. So you might have seen this with the ARKit 3 things, where like if you have a 3D object that moves behind a person, it will automatically like try to occlude. Before with ARKit 2, like you could see the 3D models that were still behind a person, but now it's doing machine learning smartness and stuff to make sure the person stays in front of the 3D objects. That all comes for free. So that's really neat. Oh, it's on. Awesome. Cool. So maybe we'll just take a quick look at what that looks like. And so that one is just, it's starting a AR session. It's loading an entity, and they're actually doing fancy async loading here, which is important because if you have a complex object, it can take a little while to load. But once they have the entity, they go ahead and start its body configuration. I think, yeah, body tracking configuration. And then in the delegate methods, it says when I update anchors, then I make sure I move I'm placing the character next to who I'm detecting, and then I'm orienting the character with the body anchor, and the rotation, making sure they're oriented correctly. And that's pretty much it. So that was all the code that's really needed to do fancy body tracking. Cool. So some resources. So that Apple has made 2 videos available introducing RealityKit and building apps with RealityKit. Would highly suggest watching both of these if you're interested in using RealityKit and doing AR. I put a link to a talk I did previously on USDZs. So obviously now that if you want to use RealityKit, you can't use SceneKit and stuff, so you have to import USDZs and things. And so did a little talk about how USDZs are like, and it's actually kind of still similar. I mean, they don't actually bundle it with Xcode anymore. You download a separate Python toolset, and then you can run the command line tool to do USDZ conversions. And then there's also some websites online where you can kind of upload up a 3D object, and they kind of will email you eventually when they convert it to USDZ. So that's another option. I've uploaded the demo app that I was just showing off. That's up on GitHub. There's a link there. And then hopefully I might get to doing a blog post about this as well. Yeah, thanks for that.